Hi everyone, and welcome to this video in which I plan to take you through what is going on in the sky right now as we are leading up to the penumbral lunar eclipse tonight. So tonight, because I'm in India and it's happening on Friday night, but based on where you are in the world, you'll have to check what the exact time of it is. So first off, it is a full moon. And for people who are absolutely new, I'll just begin by telling you that what a full moon is about. So full moon is about closure, culmination, release, clearing, endings, and also they sort of help us let go of anything we've been holding on to in our lives for too long, and any realities we're living from. And we get the opportunity every month to take stock of our lives, look at what we've planted in the new moon, and then in the full moon, see how we can readjust some of those things. But this time, because there is also an eclipse. So eclipses are almost like full moons on steroids. Really, really activated, really, really intense. And what you can expect in eclipses also is sort of being shown what you haven't seen, the reality of a situation with someone else, the true colors of an individual, and also something that you may have not wanted to see earlier, and now you're just kind of forced to accept it. So that's the significance of this time in a sort of larger bird's eye view perspective, is that know that there will be a lot of stuff coming up, whether it's in your external environment or whether it's within you, that's going to stir the pot to bring about change. So I see it as a really magical time. I don't want people to see this as a negative time. But yes, it is a very serious time, and also it's a great nudge from the universe to change up anything you've been doing just in autopilot, just because you just did it. And it's asking you, do you really want to be in this reality? Do you want to create from this reality? And I mean, let's look at what's happening around us in terms of what's happening in the States, in Hong Kong. In Mumbai, we just had a cyclone. So there's a lot going on in spite of coronavirus, pushing us to examine our lives, examine the collective, and see this system is not working. And we've had a Venus retrograde happening. We're kind of a little past halfway through the Venus retrograde. And the energy of Venus is about our values, what we love, money, how we make that money. And when it's in retrograde, it's really asking us to, and I once been asking us all along, to connect to our heart intelligence, to what we feel and how we feel, because the heart intelligence is the space of joy. And sometimes we feel the lack of that joy, and that can propel us to changing how we're leading our lives. So it is asking us to connect to our heart intelligence and our deepest understanding concerning what needs absolute adjustment, concerning our relationships, our values, beauty, money. So it's who matters, what matters, and how do we restructure everything. And you can see around us that is coming into the forefront. So there's just several elements, and I've been seeing this for the last few months. There's always several elements leading you to make a certain shift. It's almost like it's brewing from all sides, so you may make the right decision and change things up accordingly. So the eclipse, in any case, full moons, as I see them, it's bright. It's the brightest the moon is in the whole lunar cycle. And it's literally like a torch. If you would imagine the circle of the moon to be like a torch, and it's shining light on all the aspects of ourselves that are darker, that are compromised, that no longer belong, that we've been sort of pushing under the rug for too long and not allowing ourselves to see it. As I said, in any case, that is the energy of an eclipse as well, but it's just much more magnified when there's an eclipse with the lunar, there's a lunar eclipse with the full moon. So coming back to it is a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is a very fiery energy. But looking at the new moon that just went by, the end of May, it was in Gemini, and Gemini is about polarity. It is about the twins. It's about having two opposite perspectives and seeing how they can sort of meld into one. So the Gemini New Moon brought up some themes of this polarity, and you're seeing now as the week approaches into the eclipse that the Sag energy is bringing this full-on release. So Sag is a fire sign, as I already said. It is all about dreaming big, shooting for the stars. It's also about focusing on our well-being. And because it's this fire energy, it's almost like it's burning up our old beliefs and bringing about that paradigm shift, which in any case the eclipses are famous for doing. So I just want to add that if this week has felt intense for you, you're not alone. Having said that, just feeling the intensity and not taking time to reflect will mean that you're not allowing the change to happen. Sometimes the change can also happen by just remaining silent, making notes of what you think are bothering you, and just kind of getting a sense of what is triggering you, just so you are more aware of what's coming up for you. It doesn't have to be large and ritualistic. However, we are doing a practice tomorrow, and I will share those details at the end of this video. Take some time to be on your own, because it's only when we can shut out the noise can we allow this large stuff to come in. While there's lots of distractions in the environment via social media and what's happening in terms of the weather and things like that, it's really important that you take some time to just go within. It doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to be a deep meditation. It can just be sitting with yourself and taking stock of how you feel. So also you will notice when you do that a lot of fears come up. In any case, in the times that we are in now, given this whole virus business, we are struggling to know if there is certainty to our jobs, if there's certainty to the kind of income we've been creating for ourselves in the last few years. There's a lot of uncertainty. Can I go out and live the life that I did prior to this? Can I see my friends in the same capacity? And for a lot of us, the answer is no, but we are just sort of going with the flow. We're just trying to be adaptable. And a lot of times we're not stopping to see, is this fear mine? Is this fear coming from someone else? Is this fear serving a purpose? Because often that is also important. When something is uncomfortable, it's asking you, how would you like to make this comfortable? You need to make that change. So this is the larger theme, but again with the lunar eclipse, I read this somewhere and I loved the description. So the Earth's shadow is being cast on the moon and eclipses it. So it covers it, and it's almost like the universe is blinking. It's one moment like this, it blinks, and when it opens its eyes, there is a completely new reality. And the same way, we're being asked to go within, to maybe take stock, and when we come out, we will have a different perspective and open up that new reality for ourselves. So what are some of the things we can do other than silent times? You want to allow whatever has been kind of brewing to be cleared with this eclipse, which is why I said at the beginning, full moons are anyway times of great release. This is like a mega release. So if there are certain friendships, relationships, and the Venus energy, the Venus retrograde is also pointing in this direction. If there's any people in your lives, any relationships in your lives, any situations, any contracts, or any obligations, any connections with people that you work with or interact with, whether it's at family or at work, you want to find a way, if it's not working, to clear it away. So just intend for this kind of energy that feels heavy to be cleared away with the eclipse. Also, as I said, it's like when you close your eyes for a moment, you're doing it in order to clear the slate of what you see in the world. And when you open your eyes, you see a new reality. And now I want to have a different way of doing this. So while we stand in support of these great changes that are happening, we also need to create the ability to have a beginner's mind. So you open your mind to let go of your old beliefs and your understanding. You let go of old ideas that you've held on to, and you let the divine fill you up with new information. And this is why I wanted to also not do the free meditation on Sunday, and focus on this largely for the ones who come to most of my meditations. This is for you, because to create that clean slate and beginner's mind and that fresh perspective, as I said earlier, you need to have some introspective time. You need to have some time to just look within, process everything. And even if you feel like you can't process it, it's fine, because it's already being processed, because the universe is working with you at this time. So I would encourage you to make a list of all the things that you would like to change at a personal level and then at a collective level. So if you think that in India there is a certain kind of disparity which doesn't serve everyone, and you have felt this way, but you just kind of were like, it's just the way things are, who am I to change it? Just keeping that intention, just being aware of that there needs to be some kind of a shift, there needs to be some kind of a change. And as you do that, as you start to get clear, you're already seeding that change. So you don't have to actively do anything right now. Just stay with yourself, become aware of everything within you as patterns, and allow the change to happen. And the Sagittarian energy, which is fiery, is also compelling us to explore the truth that maybe that if we look at it, we are completely hurt by it. So if there's this discomfort coming up, you don't have to push it away. You don't have to feel overwhelmed by it. You just need to sit with it and say, yes, I do not like this. It is making me upset. It is triggering me. It's making me sad. I feel angry towards this person. They are treating me this way. But instead of lashing out, it's asking you to explore what is true for you, what feels like truth for you. And that's because also Sagittarians are sort of, they are the social warriors. It is also this warrior energy of the Sag that helps us, because if you examine warrior energy, while it's got the fight, it's also got this sort of poise and this sort of conviction in what they believe in. So you don't have to feel fearful about what's coming up. But if your fears are coming up, you need to have a certain kind of, I'm here, I'm witnessing you, I understand this has been difficult, and I allow a different way to come through. One thing that we will have to do as the eclipse passes, or even around this time, after we do our writing and after we do our introspective work, is also to find the way to communicate our truth. The truth that we have sort of been revealed into, or that we've kind of come to know and had this aha moment of. You will need to have that communication, that conversation, that sort of whether it's at a larger scale, whether it's at a smaller scale, and that's that Gemini energy where it's telling you, even if you're communicating to yourself in your mind, because we create what we think, right? Energy follows thought. So if you don't see it as things are falling apart, but that you're creating a new paradigm, and you even communicate internally from that perspective, around you things will start to fall in place in that manner. In my personal experience, there's a lot of things I'm clearing away, and I really want you to see it like that. And sometimes some conversations might be difficult, where in a certain work scenario you might feel like something is not honoring you anymore, and you may want to stop playing in that field. And that's fine. You might need to have that conversation. But with deeper conversations, you first write it out, get very clear on what you want, let some days pass, let it process, and trust that the universe is working with you. And lastly, so there's a T-square, and I'm not going to get into the detail of that. There is a lot of aggressive energy coming up, and all you need to know in your heart is that in the light of this moon, you are in some way contributing to dismantling these oppressive systems by not playing in that field. So if you're feeling triggered, I would say write it down. Don't don't get into that argument. You don't have to be right. And this is not only at a personal level, it's also at a collective level, because I was actually going through some of the comments, looking at what's happening in America in terms of the protests, and I started to see that people who were kind of on the same side were starting to just argue with each other, just to make their point. So even though this fiery Sag energy is there that might propel you to want to have that aggression to come out, with this Mars energy and the Venus energy pushing you for your values, still take some time to just acknowledge that just your presence and just your being and just the pain or the frustration that you're feeling is in a larger way contributing to bigger change. So I'm going to wrap this up on this note. Make sure that you find some time, as I said, and I'm saying it over and over again, sit with yourself to process. If you like to meditate, please by all means go ahead and meditate, but definitely make a list of all the things that scare you, of all the things that you do not like or not in line with your values. Maybe you've been doing something a certain way just because it was happening that way. So know your part in creating your life, and just become really clear that, this relationship is not serving me, this work is not serving me, this way of doing something is not serving me. And even if you're just aware of that, as we do the practice tomorrow, we will work on releasing it. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on Saturday.